I very much enjoyed our event together in South Carolina, where we looked at the intersection between Project REACH, the CRA, and your Opportunity Zones bill. So I think this was a terrific dialogue. On Project REACH, I think most of you are aware that Project REACH has three major components at the national level. One is to convene bankers, civil rights groups, and tech executives around the idea of building a synthetic credit score for the 45 million Americans who don't have one. The reason that matters is that in America, the principal way that most families build wealth generationally is through home ownership. And, it's hard to buy a house in this country without a mortgage, and you can't get a mortgage without a credit score. So the 45 million so-called credit invisibles are hugely disproportionately Black and Hispanic. So this is a major civil rights issue for our time. And yet it turns out that giving those people credit for their rent payments, their utility payments, and their cash flows in their bank accounts, which most of them have, is relatively easily doable. So I think that we are not very far away from an announcement of a version 1.0 of a new kind of credit score, working closely with the big three credit bureaus and the companies I just mentioned, to allow those people the opportunity to be considered for home mortgages. That will be a game changer when that becomes available, and I think that will be available this year. The second piece has to do with the 20% down payment requirement that most Americans face in buying houses. And again, the percentage of people who inherit money to make a 20% down payment is disproportionately favoring, whites and Asians, and disproportionately disfavoring Blacks and Hispanics, who more often than others didn't inherit money generationally and thus have a very hard time meeting that threshold. Down payment assistance programs have offered some support for that, but we think that more radical examination of the system is required. And various participants in Project REACH have talked about different ways of closing the down payment gap. One of those ways has to do with the possibility of equity financing as well as debt financing for home ownership. And there are a lot of people who are very enthusiastic about the ability of drawing new capital sources into the housing market for that. So these are all very good. One of the most important things we're working on here is reinvigorating the commitment of large banks to support minority depository institutions in their communities. And so the other piece of Project REACH we expect to be announced very shortly is the Project REACH MDI pledge, in which big banks will commit not only to supporting MDIs financially, but also to engaging in executive training programs, in rotational programs, and real business partnerships designed to make MDIs successful,